Hi everyone, it's 10 o'clock Tuesday morning, time for our weekly Tuesday morning coffee club. I've got my cuppa here, hope you have too. And I want to start today's session on a bit of a serious note. Last week in the session with Kelly, fantastic session, thank you again Kelly, we had a complaint. And the complaint was, Richard, what the hell has happened to your wacky shirts? You are wearing a boring black t-shirt today. It might be in commiseration of England's terrible performances in the Euros, but I made a promise to go back to who I am and wearing a wild and wacky shirt every week. And there's a story to that. I'm not confident in networking sessions. I've never liked networking. And I was always the person who sat in the corner of the room, speaking to no one. And if someone wanted to speak to me, they'd say, well, who's Richard Harrison? Who is he? Who's Richard? And the description would be, he's the tall, middle-aged, balding guy in the middle of the room, or in the corner of the room, as it often was. And if you've ever been networking in British groups, standard networking, we can go into this later, we've got a great session today, you'll find that half the room are middle-aged, tall, balding men, so I really didn't stand out. But I was really inspired by a great friend of mine, a guy called Andrew Leeming. He always looks fantastic. He looks the part and he stands out a mile. And I was never comfortable in suits and shirts and ties, so I thought, why not just be me? Shirts are my thing. Some people have watches, some people have shoes, some people have glasses. I love shirts. So I started to wear shirts that I liked. And it was really strange because I started to feel more me in networking, which was great. I felt more comfortable, I felt more confident. But if you remember what Kelly was talking about last night, one thing that Brits love is an icebreaker. Something to talk about. And people would come up to me and say, oh, that's a nice shirt. Oh, that's a strange shirt. That's a weird shirt. Or you're brave wearing that shirt. But it broke the ice and it got us talking. So I made a promise to always be me. Wear different shirts because they help me stand out in a crowd. And the message to you guys is, if you don't like networking, if there's something you're not comfortable with, make yourself comfortable. Get back in your comfort zone. Because people want to talk to you, not someone who's not you and not confident and not comfortable. So yeah, every week we can have Shirt Watch. Today's shirt is sponsored by Zara. Get yourself to the sale while it's still there. And it also leads on to our next guest, because I met this guy for the first time when I was actually in again, it was a networking session. It was an organisation called NUIG, Northwest Employee Engagement Group. It was in Manchester. And it was an absolutely brilliant event. And the main guy, Steve, said, I want to ask this guy a question, Andy. And do you know when you're at an event and someone speaks and it's like the mic drops and that person just immediately gets your attention? What he says, he spoke absolute knowledge. Everything that came out of his mouth, you thought, this guy really knows what he's on about. And I thought one day I'd love to work with this guy, but we were very early in our stage. I thought he's probably very, very expensive. We'd never be able to afford to work with this guy, which again is quite ironic given the title of this episode, Purpose Before Profits. And in due course, Geminus Innovation built, Innovator International built, and this guy was doing some courses, and they were called Success GPS, and I absolutely loved them because they took something that was so important to a business, and they broke it down, and they made it so simple. It broke it down to easy steps, and it took what could be a very, very overwhelming, very, very complex subject, and it made it simple for anyone. But the way he designed it, it made it simple for a new start business all the way through to the sort of multi-million-pound business that he'd previously helped transform. So bearing that in mind, what I'd like to do straight away is bring in Andy Henderson. Andy, good morning. Are you well?
Hey Richard, yeah, nice. Thank you for the nice words and introduction. It's nice to see you.
Well, yeah, likewise. I'm hoping we might have someone either in the room. Of course, we do record these and watch them back as well. Who actually went on one of your Success GPS courses? Were they 2020, 2021 roughly? Do you think?
Yeah, I think so. It was probably pre COVID, I guess, and there was
It
probably a
was.
couple of COVID as well. In fact,
Yeah.
there was probably a couple during COVID because we had to have clandestine meets on the Samsbury Hotel car park to distribute maps and
That's
program
right.
guides in November.
That's right. And it's funny you should say that, because I know now at least 4 of those maps that we sent out, those people have completed their innovator founder journey. They are now resident in the UK without a need for a visa. So
Absolutely.
yes, how many cohorts did we do? Was it about 5 or 6?
I think we did maybe six, maybe five, six, maybe even seven. I don't know. It
Yeah.
was quite a few. We met some brilliant people with some great ideas.
So within your journey, you've actually helped.
Good.
Yeah, you've helped a large number of international entrepreneurs relocate to the UK. And before we go into what you're doing now, can you just tell the people out there a little bit about what Success GPS was and what it was about?
Yeah, well, it was. I had an epiphany moment, but back in the past, I used to run and I actually transformed a failing IT company into a thriving, very profitable company. And when we sold that business, I came out of it and I sat down with myself and I kind of asked myself the question: what did we do? What was if we were to boil down everything we did in this organization to transform it and to get it to really start to grow, but grow the right way? What did we do? And I kind of boiled it down into a process which almost like wired together practical psychology with the art and science of strategically growing a business. And the whole premise of this, that the IP that we created was based on a map. And this map was a strong visual of a journey up a mountain because, growing a business, starting a business and growing a business and scaling a business, it's really tough and it is like climbing a mountain. It can be painful at times. It can be really hard. It can be stressful. And some days you just want to come back down because it's too much. But when you understand, that what you're trying to achieve and that purposeful approach and that vision that you've got, and you can imagine yourself stood at the top and the feeling that you would get once you've achieved what you're setting out to achieve, it's massive, and that keeps you going. That feeling of sort of driven by purpose to a sort of almost like a higher self. It's a really powerful thing, and Success GPS was basically a step by step program to help you understand
Yeah.
where you are now, where you're trying to get to over a longish period of time, and then look examining all the strategic building blocks that you need to have in place in order to successfully navigate to the top of the mountain, but doing it in a way that you enjoy, doing it in a way that impacts others and creates a whole heap of fulfillment.
That's the key thing for me as well, I think, as well. And I did the course. I absolutely loved it. I came into the course thinking, I'm not going to learn anything new here because it's a subject, project management, I know fairly well anyway. But I did. I absolutely loved it. And half of the battle was working with some of the people we worked with. I remember Gordy, I remember Celia, and that was on our cohort. And you see what they're achieving now as well.
Yeah.
And it was absolutely brilliant. But something that Rachel Elner said when we were at the Den was make sure that you enjoy the journey as well as the destination. There's a great football analogy there because a lot of people are watching England at the moment thinking we're going to win the cup, but the journey's terrible. It's not just about the destination; it's about the journey as well. And when you think about that analogy of climbing a mountain, you've got to stop and take in the view, and you've got to stop and rest and recuperate. And I love the way that this brought in time frames, it brought in targets, it brought in finances. What it costs, what your reward's going to be, and it just took everything into bite-sized chunks. So, is Success GPS still a part of what you're doing?
Yeah, it is very much so. It's the cornerstone to the work we do, but the sort of methodology is expanded a little bit, and it takes into account things that larger businesses need to understand. So, a lot of the work we did in the early days was with solopreneurs and innovators. And then we started to move into the sort of scale up space, those businesses that were employing people and starting to grow. And then we started to take the map into larger businesses with an established board of directors with 50 to 100 members of staff and, bigger aspirations for future growth. And it's absolutely vital, yeah, because it's not just, when you work with a larger business with this methodology, you start to find it has different, more impactful side benefits, like it helps align the team
Yeah, yeah,
to discuss and discover and define their purpose together and their vision together. So when we're talking about success in the future, that what is at the top of the mountain, Imagine having five board directors sat there and we say, right, I want you to spend 15 minutes defining what success looks like through three lenses. One is personal success. What do you want out of this in 5 years' time, let's say? Then the second lens is business success. What do you want this business to look like in 5 years? And then the third lens is impact. What impact do you want
Yeah.
to create in the world? And when you encourage people to really sit and think about what they want, what they need for themselves, for the business, and the impact they want to create, and then you get them to write it down and share it between each other, and then
Yeah.
you can start to sort of boil down the common themes and surface those collectively, so everyone feels like they've played a part in the vision, the purpose, the mission, the goals, the future, and we create that compelling future together. And in those conversations don't happen enough in business. You know, Business to me, you've got to put emotion in it because emotion's energy. You've got to put that exciting feeling in, you've got to put that motivated feeling, that inspired feeling, that innovative feeling, and you want to do it together, mix it all up and create something that's compelling
Oh,
enough for everyone to get on board with. And when you've got an aligned team that's all driving in one direction and that it's full of purpose and meaningful work, you've got something really special.
I think that this, I mean, it's so true, Andy. And it was obvious when you were doing Success GPS with the leaders that this is and the solopreneurs, the founders, this is something that lent itself so well to an organisation because when you've got that leadership from the top down, but you've also got that sense of ownership, that sense of buy-in from throughout the organisation. Then it's absolutely clear that you've got the same goals, you've got the same objectives, you're all on the same path, you're climbing that mountain together, and you've not got that us and them feeling between the workforce and the management team.
Absolutely, yeah. And we extend the service now. So when we've done the mapping with the board, then we start to interact with the wider business to get their insights and perspectives on the growth journey.
Yeah.
And we do engagement sort of workshops we do stop, go, continue stuff. We do vision, purpose, mission creation. And, we do some work around culture as well, understanding the culture that the organisation needs to have in place in order to grow effectively and enjoyably, and also the culture that's embedded in the business now, and looking at the differences, and then asking everyone in the business, what can we do as a
Oh,
leadership team,
yeah.
as people, to build a bridge from culture 1.0, which is what exists now, to culture 2.0, which is the culture that we need to move forwards together in an enjoyable way.
Yeah, absolutely. And we had a couple of questions to Kelly last week, and one was, how do I support my team as a leader? Another one was, what is the expectation of me as a non-British person in a business? And a question that makes you think that it should be no different to the expectation of a British person when you understand the cultural differences. And the good thing about Success GPS, you can address any challenges that a business
Yeah.
has, challenges, growth objectives. So I really want to get onto the new stuff you're doing, but I feel that we should address this in chronological order.
Yeah.
So as you were delivering Success GPS, you had another um, absolute brainwave or moment of inspiration
Yeah.
that sort of led to purpose before profits and YAB. So what sort of brought what brought that on?
Well, so currently we've got three major things that deliver value for the customers that we work with. We've got Success GPS, which is the
Yep.
strategic mapping stuff, and the accountability program that attaches to the back end of that. And then we've got YAB, which are peer-to-peer problem-solving communities for small businesses. And then we've got the marketing division, which works with organisations to help them create a marketing strategy, marketing plan, creative stuff, and then campaigns and campaign ideation and management. But from a chronological order perspective, it was the 31st of August 2018 when Success GPS was born. When I literally sat there, it was a Friday, I sat down at 8:30 in the morning in the kitchen, and this map just came out, and I drew it, and I went, that's my thing.
Yep.
Divine intervention, whatever it was, but it was there, and it just happened on that day. And then 2 or 3 years into that, it was 2021 when I was sat in my office just on my own. I was just on my own at this
Best
point.
moments.
I had an outsourced fractional marketing director that worked with me, that paid a retainer to, and I had Catherine, who was a VA that I paid probably about 5 hours a week to. But I was sat in my office on my own thinking, it's really hard, is this? We're doing okay, but I've got such big aspirations and I've got challenges, I've got ideas, I've got 500 thoughts in my head right now.
Hmm.
And I want to share those thoughts with other people that have been in my shoes, that are running a business, that have been through some stuff, that will not judge me for the ideas and the thinking that's going on in here. And I just want to be able to pour it all out and have someone, almost like a group of people, sift through it and question and challenge some of that stuff. And I thought that'd be really good if we did it in a group format. And I did some research, and I literally, there was nothing out there. There's all the traditional networking groups that are referral based, and I didn't want that. I wanted almost like therapy, really, but without
it goes back to my dislike of networking. This appears to me as the absolute opposite, the sort of thing I'd love. So, sorry, Andy.
So I did some research. There was nothing there. So, as any good entrepreneurial spirit does, I created a brand, I created a methodology, I invited 30 people to this event, and these people were all known to me. They were customers or acquaintances in business that I thought would enjoy it. And then we ran it. It was called YAB, Your Affordable Board. We ran the first group. I was nervous. And I really didn't think beyond the first group. I just thought, let's get this done and out of the way, and then I can move on. I've got it in my system. But literally, everyone loved it. 28 people joined on that day. And then we kept it secret for like a year. But then people got to hear about it and how powerful it was. And then we created a second group. And then we created a third group. And now we've got 8 groups and over 150 members. And we're literally providing like a peer-to-peer problem-solving community for business leaders, business founders, business directors that are in business to make a difference. So they put in the meaningful work and purpose and impact first before money. And when we get together, literally, there's so much emotion in the room, so much love and help and care and support. We have one of the cornerstones of YAB is that every problem in the room can be solved by the room, and we prove it every single week in every single YAB group that we.
So the whole room get together to solve other people's problems.
Yeah, there's a structure,
Amazing.
there's a format. It doesn't feel prescriptive. It feels very caring and supportive and intuitive. And literally, it's growing at a rate now. I mean, this month we'll probably onboard 25 new members at least.
Yeah.
And each month on month, each of the groups, we're onboarding another 2 or 3 members for each group, and it's just growing. And as we bring on more franchisees, they will build 4 groups, and each with 120 members across all 4 groups, and it'll just keep growing, and the impact we're creating is massive. There are genuinely people, Richard, that are alive with us today, who wouldn't have been without YAB.
Yeah, fantastic, Andy. Absolutely. It's funny because again, I'm gonna have to move and just expose the boxes and things behind me for a moment because there's something I want to grab to the side of me. If you can bear with me, I am still here. This one, it takes me back. And Andy, I know we both have a love of books. And I've got a few books in my collection here that are a result of direct recommendations from you. Ones I've still not read, but I have them ready to read. The Alchemist is the one I really want to read. But this was my first ever business book. It's probably back to front there on the screen. I can flip it around, but it's just say your ideas can make you rich, and then inside it says, but they can also make you incredibly poor as well. And it's the first Dragon's Den book. So if I flick through here, of course, those who remember Andy will, those who were at our first event will know that you were there as well, sat out the front in one of the Dragon's Den's chairs.
Absolutely, it was awesome.
It was a great event. Even though we had to drop you on the spot the last minute and say, will you take part for us? But again, of course, we had Rachel Elner there as well, who gave me this one line. She, of course, is the lady who said, enjoy the journey as well as the destination. But she also said, make people happy and the money will follow. And I've always loved that. Because it's not about making money. Well, it's a bit funny because you've made me think about that statement quite a lot. And make people happy and the money will follow implies you should focus on making people happy, but it's still focused on money. Make people happy and the money will follow. That seems like a rule to make money in a business, but purpose before profits feels like more of a value. Yeah, it feels absolutely. And that. Where did that line come from? Somewhere? Did it require much thought? Because I know in Success GPS we work on the 3-word strap lines as well.
Yeah, well, no, it was just part of the when we define the purpose of Yard and the contribution that our members need to make and the sort of mission, it just fell from it. And you know, we have purpose before profits, impact before income, meaningful work before money, and relationships before revenue.
Yeah.
And it's all about getting to know the bottom of the iceberg in someone, in the person in front of you, because there's so much surface noise where we don't want to share stuff with others. We only give them what we think they need to hear or want to hear.
Yeah.
But in all the work that we do, we seek to try and understand the person below the water, you know, and
Yeah.
when our marketing only attracts people. So one of the almost like the core character traits of people that want to work with us are they are naturally oversharers.
Absolutely.
They want to talk, they want to
Yeah.
share, they want to be in a space where there's no judgment. And when your marketing only attracts that kind of person, you know straight away when you start getting underneath the bottom, you know, into that bottom of the iceberg, you're starting to build a relationship. And when you start to build a relationship and really understand that person, business will be done.
Well,
Whether
that's the
you
whole
do
thing.
business with you, or you connect each other to other people in your network, or you collaborate, you create a joint venture, whatever. If you get to know the bones of that person, you love what you see, something magical will happen.
And I know you set up that first Yab to scratch that itch about helping people. It wasn't about having a business; it was about helping people. But all of a sudden, you've got is it eight Yab groups now?
Yeah, yeah,
So
yeah.
it's turned into a a very very good thriving scalable business. But the purpose is still helping people. You know,
Absolutely, 100%, yeah.
every business needs money to operate. People have to get paid. Mortgages have to be paid. You need food on your plate. But the beautiful thing is that's not the driving factor here. So we're going to move on because we've got 9 minutes to go, and there's a couple more things I want to get in. So you mentioned one massive word there that will be so big to our community who are looking to scale their own businesses. The F word, franchising.
Yes.
So how did franchising come about? How was the journey for you? Is it easy? Is it difficult?
Well, it depends. I
Oh,
suppose.
sorry, I was going to say, because with eight Yab groups, there's only one under Andy Henderson. So when you have 20, 30, 40 Yab groups, you have to franchise or grow.
Well, you have to find people and compensate them in one of three ways. You know, when we're in this sort of journey where things were getting some traction, and I was thinking, now I'm working flat out here. I need to understand who, you know. One of the key things here is that I've learned is when you've got a business and it's growing and it's doing well, and the questions in your head are no longer about the what and the how. They start to become more about the who.
Yeah.
And that's a really important thing. And I urge anyone listening to just listen to that back. It's not the what or the how. It becomes about the who. Who has the skills? Who can help? Who do I need to bring in to help me grow this business? And this thing was all about who. And I had three options. You know, and franchising was one of them. One of the options was hire people. And I thought, I can't afford to have that outlay to, you know, almost like wait 3 or 4 months before that person really got their teeth into it, understood it, and then started making a difference and then generating some income. I couldn't bankroll that. And then I thought, well, the second option was to use affiliates or associates, which is the traditional way that anyone who works in our space, they use others that operate in a similar space that have some spare capacity. But I thought, no, because they've got 1 foot in my business and 1 foot in their business, and I needed them to have 2 feet in my business and share the passion and the energy and the difference that we're making. And then the third option was franchising, and of course, franchising you get an immediate cash injection, and then with that money you then support the franchisee to get off the ground, to start earning income and building their business. And then there's a percentage of the invoiced revenue that comes back to the mothership, which is essentially the profitable end. You know, the franchise fee is not almost like a profit center. It's almost like they pay this money, and that is for the assets, for the training, and for the initial sort of support that they get until they're off the ground. Yeah. So we chose franchising, and I looked at two different consultants that can help me with that process. But luckily, I don't think I'm a systems thinker. by default, but the way we've created Success GPS, the way we created Yab, it was a repeatable process
Yeah.
that could be followed and taught.
I,
Um,
I guess it's not easy as well because you've got to prepare training materials, literature to
oh yeah.
describe what you do. You've got to train them. So that's, I guess, a lengthy process. And you would always recommend the use of a franchising consultant or expert there?
Oh, definitely, yeah. It's imperative because you could try and do it all yourself, but you're too close to it. You're too close. You need someone who can help you sort of navigate the different stages because everything needs to be highly processed. It needs to be
Yeah,
documented within an inch of its life because when you basically what you're selling to a franchisee, a prospective franchisee, is an operating system that
yeah,
will shortcut their journey to building a business that not only puts a roof over their head, food on the table, and warmth in their home, but to having a business that actually gives them some freedom,
yeah.
gives
I
them
mean,
some an additional income, less stress, and also to be part of a thriving community of awesome people here.
yeah. There's a lot of
So
trust
that,
there, Andy, as well. 'Cause I mean, for me, Innovator International and Gemis Innovation, those brands are almost like children to me. They're so valuable.
yeah,
You've built them over people, so you're putting a lot of trust in other people to treat
yeah,
your brand, with the respect that you've treated it as well. Was
definitely.
finding the right people fairly straightforward, fairly easy, or was that a
Well,
lengthy
it's not
process?
again. It's people think franchising, yeah, just turn on the switch on the light and they'll come and you'll get the money and you'll train them and then they'll grow. And no, it's not easy because especially in the work that we do. I mean, if you were setting up an oven cleaning franchise, for instance, fairly straightforward. The caliber and expertise level and knowledge and experience of that person doesn't need to align itself in any way with having experience of oven cleaning before. Do you know what I mean? But
Yeah, yeah,
with our business, when we're literally giving advice and guidance to senior
yeah,
people in businesses, you have to have the almost like the battle scars of
yeah,
running the business on your left shoulder, almost like Sergeant Major stripes. You need to have those because they're constant reminders of the painful nature of business. Like the
yeah.
ups and the downs,
Absolutely.
and so immediately, if you're looking at the pool of available people, then you start saying, well, they've got to have run a business before, owned a business,
Absolutely.
run a business, or whatever. You immediately shrink that pool down
Yeah,
to 1% of what it was a minute
yeah.
ago before you filtered those things out. So it's not easy,
No.
but the people are out there, and what we're finding that the majority of people that are inquiring to join us are roughly between the ages of 38 and 44, and they have been on this corporate ladder and they are
Yeah,
fed up to the back teeth of being focused on profit. Their leaders are telling them it's all about the numbers, it's all about the money, forget the people angle. And the people that are coming to us and intrigued as to what we do are all about people first, but
yeah.
they can't be a people first leader in their current corporate entity because they don't value the people first approach. They just
No.
want money, profit, and stakeholder funds. And
The thing I love there as well, again, is that when you go solo in business as a consultant or whatever, you've not got a brand to sit behind. It's very, very difficult. You suddenly cast into this massive red ocean with people charging, the lowest price possible. It's totally cutthroat. And I think suddenly being able to put a brand like this in front of you, absolute no-brainer. Andy, we've only got a couple of minutes left, and I've not touched upon the most important thing, your fabulous launch on Friday. Can you give us 60 seconds on what it is you're doing now, how it's changed, and the importance of this marketing function that you've brought in?
yeah, yeah. So I've explained all the stuff about when I was a single person entity in my back bedroom. Well, right now there's 14 of us in the business, and only a week ago there was only four of us or five of us. So we during the course of our delivering our services to customers, what we found as soon as we finished, we'd sort of evolved the tip of their arrow, their identity, their target market, the products and services they were going to double down on and take to market, and that needed some marketing help at the side to start to optimize those things, and get the message out there. So we did some work with Latitude for a couple of years and partnered, and then in January decided that it would be better if we brought it together. So we brought it together, so now we can offer the full business strategic stuff accountability, but then we can plug our marketing team in and really get the business ramping up.
Brilliant.
So brand identity, creative, campaign ideation, and pulling campaigns together and getting them out to market, and generating leads and stuff. And it's a match made in heaven. So the who,
Absolutely
we found
brilliant.
our who now,
So
and now it's about taking what we've got and growing it even more.
an absolutely massive thing for us, and I'm just about to put Andy's LinkedIn page and the website on the screen at the moment. If you are looking to develop that strategy and have some support in getting those ideas to market, please, please, please connect with Andy. His LinkedIn page is on the screen there. There's a picture of the website. You can't quite see the name, but it's on the web. It's on the LinkedIn page. Andy, tothesummit.co.uk.
Awesome, that's it, exactly, yeah, to the summit.co.uk.
Fantastic. Go and have a look. But I'm not going to try and sell Andy, because I don't need to. Just connect with Andy. Watch his LinkedIn. Watch the content he produces, and I'm sure that you'll be calling him in no time at all if you haven't already. Andy, thank you so much for your time. Really, really appreciate it. It's been great catching up with you. Yeah, I'll say goodbye to you in a moment when we're off camera again. But it's absolute pleasure having you on. And not only that, thank you for all of the support you gave to the Innovation International community in the early days as well. I'm sure there's a point at which we're going to come back together here as well. So, Andy Henderson, thank you very, very much. Next week, we've overrun again, but only by a minute today. Next week, we've got my business partner, Nick Roach, on talking about the importance of innovation within the Innovator Founder Visa. So if the innovation component is confusing to you, you don't know what it is, you want to know more about it, get in on next week's session, 16th of July, 10 o'clock, Tuesday Morning Coffee Club. I hope you've enjoyed it. Andy's been absolutely brilliant. Do connect to him. I'm going to put his page up again, just to remind you. So there's Andy's LinkedIn page and the Summit website. Thank you so much. I'll see you all next week. I'm going to be cutting this, but I can't press stop for 30 seconds.